Hello there and a very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Rundown with me Zulfick Farzan, where we discuss the key developments in Sri Lanka. Now, with less than 1 month or less than 6 weeks for the presidential election on the 21st of September, the number of complaints that the Election Commission is receiving with regard to the election is on the rise. Now, according to the National Election Commission, more than 700 complaints have been received so far. In total, as of yesterday, 717 complaints related to the presidential election have been received by the National Election Commission. Now, among these, a significant 693 complaints pertain to the violation of election laws. Now, additionally, the Commission has noted that they have received one complaint concerning act of violence. Now, also sticking with the presidential election, now one of the more key components related to the presidential election is transportation. Now, the Sri Lanka Transport Board has announced that despite the use of its buses for various election campaign rallies, normal operations remain unaffected. Now, SLTB Chairman Liabilities has confirmed that no public complaints have been received so far regarding the shortage of buses. Now, Liabilities assured that SLTB buses will serve difficult and rural areas, and these buses will not be allocated for election rallies. Now, he also said that the SLTB will ensure public convenience is maintained throughout the entire election period, pre-election and post-election as well. Now, in compliance with the recent notice by the National Election Commission, the Sri Lanka Transport Board had already submitted a report detailing the expenses for providing buses for the presidential election. Now, at the same time, what about the assets and liabilities of the presidential election candidates? Now, it must be noted that when candidates submit their nomination papers to run for the highest office in the country, they also have to submit their asset declarations. Now, the Commission to Investigate Allegations of Bribery or Corruption last evening in a press notice announced that the statements of assets and liabilities of the presidential candidates are now available for public access. These documents have been made accessible through the Commission's official website. That means if you log on to the website of the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption, you can access the assets and liability declarations made by these presidential candidates. Now, in compliance with Section 89 of the Anti-Corruption Act, the candidates' assets and liability statements were submitted to the Election Commission along with their nomination papers. Now, the Commission to Investigate Allegations of Bribery or Corruption states that except for information that cannot be disclosed, all other related information are available for public access. Now, at the same time, election campaign rallies have already kicked off in Sri Lanka. Almost all candidates have started to have their election campaign rallies and are addressing their supporters and the masses at large. Now, yesterday, Vadivel Suresh and Ali Zahir Maulana were given ministerial portfolios. Now, this has drawn criticism from the National People's Power camp. Now, Anil Kumar Disanayake is the presidential candidate for the NPP. Now, he has raised serious concerns over the appointments of Ali Zahir Maulana and Vadivel Suresh to the ministerial portfolios with just over 30 days remaining for the presidential election. Now, Disanayake has questioned the timing and the purpose of these appointments, stating that these appointments were provided to Ali Zahir Maulana and Vadivel Suresh so that they can use government vehicles, fuel, funds to engage in election campaign activities using state resources. Now, Disanayake has pointed out that Maulana was appointed to Parliament to replace Nazir Ahmed, who was removed. Now, he has criticized President Ranil Wickremesinghe for the appointment, while the President had previously said that it is impossible to appoint a police chief for the country as it would violate the election laws. Now, Anil Kumar Disanayake has criticized this move. Now, he also criticized Wickremesinghe's camp for leveraging state funds, resources, fuel and security for electoral advantage. Now meanwhile, Sajid Premadasa is the presidential candidate of the Samagi Jana Balawegya. Now Sajid Premadasa is also the country's opposition leader. Now one of the key campaign mottos of Sajid Premadasa is uncovering the truth with regard to the Easter Sunday terrorist attacks. Now that happened in 2019. Many lives were lost in those coordinated attacks across several locations in Sri Lanka in 2019. Now Sajid Premadasa says that when he is elected president and when his government comes into power, all those responsible for this heinous act will be brought before the law and justice will be served. Now he has accused former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and incumbent President Ranil Wickremesinghe for misleading the public and preventing the truth about the Easter Sunday terrorist attacks from being revealed. Now Premadasa claimed that both these leaders had failed to fulfill their promises to uncover the facts behind this terrorist attack. Now expressing condolence with the victims, particularly to the Catholic community, Premadasa emphasized his commitment to a transparent investigation. Now in his statement he said that he will launch a new investigation involving both local and international experts and investigators to uncover the truth behind the Easter Sunday terrorist attacks. Now another presidential candidate who is vying for the top spot is the youngest presidential candidate this year. Now who is this? This is Namal Rajapaksa. Namal Rajapaksa is the son of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa and the nephew of former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Now Namal Rajapaksa addressed his maiden election campaign rally yesterday in Anuradhapura. Now during this campaign rally he emphasized his commitment to overcoming any challenges and adhering to policy-driven politics. Now he was drawing inspiration from his father, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. Now Namal pledged to modernize agricultural policies in the country that were implemented between 2005 and 2015. Rajapaksa highlighted his vision for integrating technology with agriculture to increase yields of the farmers and also creating a generation of tech-savvy farmers. Now he assured his government will be focusing on strengthening the farming community and the local economy. Now further, he also said that his government will not be complying with any request to grant police and land powers to the provincial councils. However, he said he will alleviate the burden of taxes that have befallen on the people. Now, moving away from the elections, Sri Lanka is also witnessing the arrival of new diplomats to the country. Now, yesterday, 2 new high commissioners and 3 ambassadors presented their credentials to President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the President's office. Now, President Ranil Wickremesinghe received the newly appointed High Commissioners and Ambassadors last afternoon. Now, the High Commissioners are representing the Republic of Zambia and the People's Republic of Bangladesh. Now, additionally, the Ambassadors are from the Republic of Lithuania, the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, and the Republic of the Union of Myanmar. Now they all handed in their credentials last afternoon to President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Now after receiving the credentials, the President also engaged in cordial discussions with the newly appointed ambassadors and High Commissioners. Now the event was also attended by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Minister of Justice Ali Sabri, as well as several other government officials. Now, speaking of diplomats, Sri Lanka, the Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka is currently in Kandy. Now, previously, he met with the Mahanayaka Theros at the Asgiri and Malwatu Mahaviharas, and he engaged in cordial discussions where at one point one Mahanayaka Thero also expressed concern with regard to the connectivity bridge between Sri Lanka and India. Now, a day later, the Indian High Commissioner, who is still remaining in Kandy, has expressed that the importance of considering the most vulnerable and the most weakest segments in society when creating national level policies or when evaluating these policies. Now he said that this principle is what guides India's domestic policy and is a development cooperation program that is also enabling this policy. to move forward with other countries, including Sri Lanka. Let's have a listen to what the High Commissioner had to say.
That if you were to decide on whether something is good or bad, you need to look at the most vulnerable, the poorest, the weakest, and see how that policy would impact a person, and then take a decision based on that. That is the value that drives India's own domestic policy, and it is the same principle that we bring to our development cooperation with other countries, including Sri Lanka. I can say with regard to Sri Lanka that almost all our development partnership initiatives are people-centric. They are focused on bringing the benefits directly to the people, and the people are at the core of the conception of any project that we actually implement. There are a number of such activities that we have undertaken in various sectors: housing, health, agriculture, livelihood as sustenance, hybrid renewable energy projects, ports, railways, solar electrification of religious places, among the very many others that we have. When planning and implementing these projects, the plantation regions where our brothers and sisters from the Indian origin community reside and work are always an important focus area. It is a very, very special area that we always keep our eyes open on and entertain any request with the highest priority.
Now, Dilum Amunugama is the State Minister of Investment Promotion. Now, speaking to reporters yesterday, Dilum Amunugama announced that Sri Lanka has secured an export income of $9 billion in the first 6 months of this year. Now, he also highlighted that investment agreements totaling approximately $800 million have been signed during the same period. Now, this is according to the President's Media Division. Now, in addition, the State Minister further elaborated that the Board of Investment of Sri Lanka currently facilitates 15 investment zones with 1,575 companies operating within them, providing employment to almost 500,000 people. Now, Dilum Amunugama, also speaking at this press conference, said now under the government's new investment program, 7 additional investment zones are planned for areas including Mankulam, Parantan, Kankasanture, Trincomalee, Iranovilla, Hambantota and Bingivia. Now let's have a listen to what else the State Minister had to say during this press conference.
We have not exactly calculated the second quarter. We are just only entering into the discussion stage. But I can tell you one thing, it will be a bit low. Correct. But now first quarter, why we are giving you the numbers is, just because we discuss, we don't give you the figures. We discuss, then assess their projects, then get into initial agreements. So still it's the 35 projects that we have got into initial agreements and ongoing, but that 800 is confirmed. This is that we can't confirm till the central bank sort of endorses, no?
Now that was State Minister Dilum Amunugama, the State Minister for Investment Promotion. Now, Harin Fernando is the former Minister of Sports and Tourism. Now, speaking to Newsfirst Crossbow, a special segment that we have, the former minister, who is now a advisor, said that if he had to make some certain tough decisions, now he said if you want to please everybody, it's better to be a ice cream man than get into politics. Here's what he had to say.
Well, it's quite tricky. I mean, you can't make everybody happy, and you can't make everybody understand your situation that you're in at that particular moment. But as I said, there are many people there'll be people who will support you, there'll be people who will criticize you. Just advice for any of the youngsters, just do what is right in your heart, and certain times you'll have to do certain things that you don't like to do. I mean, I wouldn't have been the most happiest to go and accept that people are saying that's a Sri Lankan culture, I'll have to do it. Even though I criticize him, I mean, my job at that point was Ranil Wickremesinghe wanted me to back him up, and I did back him, and today I'm just simply whatever people say, I'm very happy about the decision I made, even though if this is the end of the road for my politics. I got into Parliament at 27, I was 32 years By 32, I was a chief minister. I was a cabinet minister in many portfolios. By 45, even if I had to go home, I would be really proud that I've actually made a mark of it. You can't make everybody happy. If you want to make everyone happy, you should be selling ice creams and not doing politics.
Now, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Sri Lanka's tourism, a lifeline of income for the country, was hit hard. Now, despite that, Sri Lanka's hospitality never died. Many programs at state and local level were introduced to accommodate stranded tourists in the country as well. Now, in a bid to promote tourism in Sri Lanka, the government has reached a decision to waive tourist visa fees for 25 countries. Now, Minister of Public Security Tiran Alas has confirmed that this move was discussed at the meeting of the Cabinet of Ministers. Now, the decision will be implemented once the proposal is moved to Parliament and passed. Now, this initiative follows a previous policy decision taken by the government where tourist visa fees were waived for visitors from 7 different countries. Now, if you looked outside your windows this morning when you woke up, you might have noticed it's not raining, but it's still gloomy. Well, the Met Department is saying that the prevailing showery weather condition over the island is expected to reduce from today. Now, that's going to be some good news for many people across Sri Lanka. Now, several spells of showers will occur in the western, Sabaragamuwa and northwestern provinces as well as the Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and Matara districts. Now, the Met Department is also saying that small spells of showers can be experienced in the eastern belt as well. Now, at the same time, the Met Department is warning that there could be strong winds of 30 to 40 kilometers on the coastal belt as well as the central hills. Now, as usual, we at Newsfirst continue to warn our viewers not to take unnecessary risks when there is lightning during these downpours experienced in the country. Now, if you do experience lightning, there's one thing to do, that's stay indoors and unplug all those electrical appliances and stay safe. Well, that brings an end to this morning's edition of the Breakfast Rundown. But do join us again tomorrow morning at 7 a.m, same place, same time. But also follow us on our social media handles on Instagram, X, Facebook and YouTube as well as TikTok for more on the very latest. Until then, take care and stay safe.